Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, then make predictions for next week's top 5. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number 1 would be the Hitman's Bodyguard, number 2 would be Annabelle Creation, number 3 would be Leap, number 4 would be Birth of the Dragon, and number 5 would be Logan Lucky. And I got 4 out of 5 of my predictions right, which is pretty sweet. And what's also pretty sweet, today I noticed that I finally hit 2,000 subscribers. Guys, this is awesome. I never would have thought that I would have been this popular. When I started, I thought maybe I'll get like a small following, and this is still technically a small following, but the fact that I just have like 2,000 is just amazing. When I got 1,000, I was like, this is incredible. Now I feel great. Thank you all very much for subscribing, but let's go on with what I got right and what I got wrong on this week's box office talk. Now, number 1 was once again the Hitman's Bodyguard, making $10 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $39 million. And it just got past its $30 million budget. It still technically needs to get to $60 million in order to double it and to be considered a success. But from where it's going right now domestically, I think it's pretty good, especially once it gets released in other places. And by the way, this number 10 opening, you think, oh, well, maybe the others are like very close together. Well, yeah, they are. The numbers here are pretty low. In fact, I read up that this is the worst box office performance weekend that we've had in like 16 years. I am beyond shocked. But at the same time, there wasn't really anything that new coming out anyway, so it's kind of a shock, but it's not really that big of a shock. So let's move along to number 2, which is Annabelle Creation, only making about $7 million this weekend, pretty low, adding to a domestic total of $77 million, which is a pretty good intake, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $215 million, which is really good for this film. I think it'll be able to get to 300 million worldwide, or at least 250. I'm not sure if the domestic is really the big influencer right here, or if other places are going to influence it right now, but from what I'm looking at, it seems like it's doing pretty well for itself. Number 3, however, domestically, not too great, but worldwide, it's had some pretty great success, that being Leap, or as it's known in other places, Ballerina. It made $5 million this weekend on a budget of $30 million. Domestically, as I've said, this is pretty bad, but thank goodness that this was released in other places first, because it has $63 million worldwide. It's already doubled its budget and made $3 million more than that, so really this movie's a pretty big success. Now, I don't know that much about this movie because I haven't really seen any trailers or anything, but the animation looks good, I guess, so maybe I'll have to watch it at some point. Technically, it counts as a theatrically released film, so I could see it. Now, moving on to number 4 is Wind River. It actually got expanded to other theaters and made a little bit more money. It made $4.4 million this weekend. Yeah, that's right. We're only at the number 4 spot, and we're already down to $4 million this weekend. Pretty bad weekend for the box office. But this adds to a domestic total of $9 million. Now, this hasn't gone anywhere else worldwide as of yet. But if this movie keeps expanding in theaters the way that it has, I think it will be able to get past its $11 million budget, maybe double that, and I think that'll be really good. I haven't seen the movie yet. I just noticed today, however, that it's playing in a couple theaters near me, so I definitely have the opportunity to, so maybe, hopefully, I'll be able to give it a look soon. Number 5 is Logan Lucky. Not doing so bad after its drop last weekend, but it's not still doing that great. It had at least a 40% drop, which that's alright, but it still only made $4.3 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $15 million. Needs $14 million more to get to its production budget, but then it also needs to get to $58 million for it to be considered a success when you cover post-production and marketing and all that. But I'm not sure how much they went into the marketing, because I heard that there was some plan going into it, more of the marketing was going to come out later. I'm not really sure how it's working, but maybe Logan Lucky's a secret success. I'm not really sure how this movie's working. But moving on to number 6, which is obviously a success, Dunkirk, making $3 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $172 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $412 million. I think definitely it'll get to 450 before it leaves. Will it get to 500 million before it leaves? I'm actually pushing for maybe yes. I think from where it's going, even though it only made $3 million domestically this weekend, I think it'll make a ton more in other places. I think this will become a 500 millionaire at the worldwide box office at least. Now, number 7, once again, it's kind of scary, but It's Spiderman Homecoming, making $2.7 million, adding to a domestic total of $318 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $737 million. This is obviously great for this movie. It's also great that it's been able to stay at number 7 for about like 3 weeks now. I mean, it's kind of scary how it's not even really budged. I have really nothing much else to talk about this movie for. All of these movies, I really don't have much more to say, honestly. But moving on to number 8, a new release, Birth of the Dragon. I thought maybe it had a chance since I kind of predicted that there'd be low numbers this weekend, but apparently this opened even lower. $2.5 million is what it earned this weekend. Now, its budget, I don't know, but I'm going to take an educated guess and assume that it's about maybe $5 million since this is a Blumhouse Tilt movie, so it could be around that. Either way, I'm just going to assume that this movie is an utter failure since it only made $2.5 million this weekend. Number 9 is the Emoji Movie, making $2.3 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $76 million, but on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $144 million. Now, I've covered this like at least 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago, that it has doubled its budget, and technically, it's doing pretty well for itself, so Sony, if you want to make another Emoji Movie, you could. I'm not saying everyone would like it to happen, but the money's there. Clearly, you could get away with it. Maybe. I don't know. But let's end it off here with number 10, Girls Trip, making $2.2 million, adding to a domestic total of $108 million, and on the worldwide chart, $120 million. That's a pretty good way to top off the end here. Have a pleasantly surprising movie that a ton of people actually enjoyed, crossing 120 worldwide. That's very good for this movie. I haven't had a chance to see it, but hopefully I will very soon, because I've heard some surprisingly good things about it. Now, I'm sorry if this seems shorter than normal box office talks. It's just there really is nothing that more new to say about a lot of these movies, just that they made some money and it's the worst opening weekend it's in 16 years, which is pretty shocking. And as far as my predictions for this weekend, there's really no other film that's new that's coming out. There's a couple that are more limited releases, but I'm not sure how well those will really do, so I'm just not going to predict anything this weekend. I'm sorry if this disappoints you, but there really is nothing for me to really predict or go off of. If you guys want to leave some predictions, okay. I mean, I don't know how you really could, since the limited releases, I'm not sure how well those are even going to do, but sure, you can make a prediction if you want. I'm just not going to for this one weekend, because just really, we're in a really big box office drought currently. But what are your predictions? If you want to leave them for next week, leave them in the comments below. And if you got your predictions right for this week, you're going to get a shout out right now. Unless you didn't get it right, then I'm sorry. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher, and see you guys next time. Thank you once again for 2,000 subscribers.